The morning carries a truth that few ever pause long enough to recognize. It is a sacred hour when silence still covers the earth, and the world has not yet opened its eyes. In those moments before the noise, before responsibilities, before distractions start making their claims on your attention, a quiet law is already at work. Discipline wins before the world even wakes. Those who understand this are not merely early risers. The strength found in disciplined mornings becomes a quiet companion throughout your day. It shapes how you interpret challenges, how you react to pressure, and how you handle responsibilities. When you begin your day with intentionality, you walk with an inner authority that cannot be easily shaken. The world may bring its noise, its urgencies, its unexpected demands, but a disciplined soul remains anchored. This stability does not come from the absence of problems. It comes from the presence of order within. And that order is born in the morning before the rest of the world even awakens. Once you start practicing disciplined mornings, you begin to recognize patterns that most people are blind to. You notice how your mind becomes sharper when you give it quiet space before distractions arrive. You notice how your emotions stabilize when you take time to align them before the day challenges them. You begin to understand that discipline is not about controlling everything around you. It is about controlling everything within you. The disciplined do not fear the unpredictability of life because they have already conquered the battlefield of their own thoughts before sunrise. There is something deeply empowering about accomplishing meaningful tasks before others have even opened their eyes. It builds confidence in a way nothing else can. You begin to trust your ability to follow through. You begin to believe in your strength to rise above resistance. You begin to see yourself as someone capable, reliable, and unstoppable. The morning becomes the training ground where your inner warrior awakens. Not the kind of warrior that fights with aggression, but the kind that fights with consistency, clarity, patience, and purpose. Discipline in the morning teaches you to respect your time. It teaches you that every hour has value and every decision creates impact. So many people spend their days reacting to circumstances rather than creating the life they desire. They wake up rushing, hurrying, stressed, already behind. And that frantic beginning becomes the tone for the entire day. But when you start with discipline, you start ahead. You begin with control. You begin with direction. You carry the energy of leadership into everything you do. And leadership begins with leading yourself. The truth is that most of the world lives by default, not by design. They drift through their days without intention. They let circumstances decide their pace. They let emotions dictate their actions. They let distractions steal their hours. And at the end of the day, they wonder where their time went. But the disciplined live differently. They design their days with purpose. They prioritize what matters before anything else has the chance to interfere. They invest in their growth at the hour when the world is still quiet because they understand that greatness is built in secret before it is revealed in public. The discipline of rising early also builds humility. It reminds you that there is always room to improve, room to grow, room to strengthen the areas within you that have been neglected. It reminds you that success does not come from shortcuts or luck. It comes from consistent sacrifice. Every morning you rise with discipline, you are silently saying, I am willing to pay the price that others refuse to pay. And that willingness separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Many people admire success, but do not admire the discipline that builds it. They want the fruit, but resist the planting. They desire the reward, but avoid the responsibility. Yet the morning exposes the truth. Whoever is willing to show up consistently long before the world wakes is the one who will eventually rise above the rest. Each disciplined morning becomes another brick in the foundation of a strong, purposeful, impactful life. What you do in the morning also affects the quality of your thoughts. Thoughts formed in silence carry more clarity. They are not influenced by external noise, opinions, or pressures. When you begin your day with reflection, stillness, and intention, your thinking becomes sharper. You start making decisions not out of impulse, but out of wisdom. You begin to discern what aligns with your purpose and what distracts from it. You become selective about where you invest your time and who you give your energy to. This mental discipline transforms your entire day and over time transforms your entire life. There is also a beauty in rising while others sleep because it reminds you that success is a personal journey. It is not a competition, it is a commitment. You are not racing against others. You are racing against your own potential. You wake up early not to be better than someone else, but to be better than you were yesterday. Discipline turns comparison into self-improvement. It shifts your focus from what others are doing to what you must do to fulfill your purpose. The disciplined morning also strengthens emotional resilience. When you rise early and maintain your routine even on difficult days, you build emotional toughness. You train your mind to act regardless of feelings. You learn that discomfort is temporary, but growth is lasting. You teach yourself that you are capable of doing difficult things, and that emotional resilience becomes your armor throughout the day. When challenges arise, you face them with calmness instead of panic. When setbacks come, you handle them with wisdom instead of discouragement. When people disappoint you, you remain stable because your strength did not come from them in the first place. It came from the discipline you built in the morning. Some people wait for motivation to find them, but motivation is inconsistent. It comes and goes like the wind. Discipline, however, is rooted in decision, not emotion. Every early morning you rise, you reinforce that decision. You remind yourself that you are committed to becoming the best version of yourself, even when it doesn't feel convenient. Over time, discipline becomes natural. What once required effort becomes effortless. What once felt heavy becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes your standard. You begin to crave the quiet hour because it is where you meet the strongest version of yourself. It is where your thoughts are organized, your dreams are reviewed, your goals are evaluated, and your spirit is strengthened. You begin to see the morning as a gift, a daily opportunity to reset, refocus, and realign. The world may not understand this kind of discipline, but those who practice it do not need the world's understanding. They carry within them a truth that is deeper than applause and stronger than approval, that victories are won long before the world wakes to witness them. As disciplined mornings become a pattern rather than an occasional effort, you begin to witness a transformation that others can sense, but cannot fully explain. There is a new steadiness in your posture, a new sharpness in your decisions, a new light in your eyes. This change does not come from external achievements, but from the internal alignment that happens when you consistently show up for yourself before the world makes any demands of you. You realize that discipline is not about punishing yourself. It is about unlocking yourself. Every early morning becomes another key on the ring that unlocks a deeper dimension of your potential. The morning is a proving ground. It tests your commitment to your future self. It asks you if you are serious about who you say you want to become. It challenges the gap between your desires and your discipline. Many people desire growth, but their habits betray their desire. They speak of change, but remain loyal to the same routines that keep them stuck. But when you choose discipline in the morning, you break that cycle. You step into alignment with your own future. You become a partner in your own transformation instead of a spectator waiting for something to happen. Discipline before the world wakes is a declaration that your purpose is more important than temporary comfort. It tells your mind that you are in charge. It tells your emotions that they must follow your intention rather than lead your decisions. It tells your future that you are preparing space for it. And preparation is one of the highest forms of respect you can give to your destiny. You cannot expect to receive what you have not prepared for, and nothing prepares you like a disciplined morning. This commitment builds a confidence that is not loud or boastful. It is quiet, deep, and unshakable. It is the kind of confidence that comes from doing the right thing when no one is there to applaud. It is the confidence that comes from consistent victories over laziness, excuses, and mental resistance. It is the confidence that comes from knowing that while others sleep, you are investing in the future you desire to build. An investment always multiplies. The seeds you plant in the silent hours become the harvest you enjoy in the visible hours. This practice also separates you from the common rhythm of the world. Most people begin their day behind in their thoughts, behind in their responsibilities, behind in their emotions. They wake up reacting instead of creating. But the disciplined begin ahead. The world catches up to them, not the other way around. They walk into their day with clarity because they have already centered themselves. They walk in with strength because they have already trained their mind. They walk in with peace because they have already grounded their spirit. The day does not overwhelm them because they have already anchored themselves before the world opened its eyes. Discipline in the morning teaches you to value the invisible. So much of what truly matters cannot be seen right away. Growth begins invisibly. Strength begins invisibly. Confidence begins invisibly. Purpose begins invisibly. Everything significant starts hidden. The disciplined person honors these hidden beginnings because they understand that time will eventually reveal what consistency has built. They know that the world admires results but rarely recognizes the unseen labor that produced them. But they do not need recognition, they need progress. And progress is born in the moments no one else sees. Over time, disciplined mornings become an act of self-respect. You begin to see yourself as someone worth investing in. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop allowing comfort to dictate your direction. You wake not because it is easy, but because you are worth the effort. You rise because your future deserves the best version of you. You move because your purpose is too important to delay. You begin to understand that the greatest love you can show yourself is consistency. As you continue in this practice, you discover that discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the foundation of freedom. Lack of discipline leads to chaos, and chaos steals your freedom. It steals your peace, your time, your opportunities, your potential. But disciplined mornings create order. Clarity creates effectiveness, and effectiveness creates freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to grow, freedom to become, freedom to expand. The disciplined are the most free because they have learned to master the things that enslave others. The morning also becomes a place of revelation. When you quiet the noise and step into intentional reflection, you begin to hear the deeper direction of your life. New ideas emerge. Solutions to problems rise to the surface. Insights you could not access during a busy day suddenly become clear. Creativity flows easily when the mind is not cluttered. Purpose speaks loudly when the world is silent. Vision sharpens when distractions are absent. This is why disciplined mornings often produce some of the most inspired, innovative, and life-changing thoughts a person can have. There will always be resistance. There will be mornings when your body feels heavy, when your mind is tired, when your emotions pull you back into comfort. But discipline is not built in the moments of ease, it is built in the moments of resistance. Transformation does not happen when everything feels perfect, it happens when you show up anyway. The friction you feel is not a sign to stop, it is a sign that you are breaking old patterns. Growth always creates pressure before it produces progress. And as you continue this journey, you start to notice how your mornings influence every area of your life. You communicate more peacefully because you have already centered yourself. You handle stress better because your mind began the day grounded. You work with more focus because your thoughts were aligned before tasks began. You pursue your goals with more energy because your spirit was strengthened before the world made its demands. Disciplined mornings shape everything that follows. The morning teaches you one of the most powerful lessons of life, that small decisions repeated consistently create massive change. Waking up with intention may feel simple, but its impact is profound. It is a daily reminder that greatness is not built through occasional effort, but through persistent commitment. You don't need dramatic actions to transform your life. You need disciplined mornings, stacked one on top of another until the person you used to be can no longer recognize the person you have become. As your commitment to disciplined mornings deepens, something extraordinary begins to unfold inside you. You start to sense a quiet strength that you did not previously possess, a strength that cannot be borrowed, taught, or transferred. It is a strength earned through consistent sacrifice, through the choosing of purpose over comfort, through the silent victories that no one applauds, but that shape everything about who you are becoming. You realize that discipline is not an act of self-denial. It is an act of self-honoring. It is the daily declaration that your future matters, that your purpose matters, that your growth matters. And the morning becomes your sacred space to reaffirm these truths before the world has a chance to challenge them. There is a clarity that only early mornings can reveal. When the world is quiet and the demands have not yet begun, you can hear your own thoughts with greater precision. You can recognize what truly matters and what does not. You can feel the difference between distractions and responsibilities, between urgency and importance, between impulse and intention. Without the early morning discipline, the noise of the day drowns out your inner compass. But when you start first, when you rise before the world, you give yourself permission to lead your life rather than be led by circumstances. The disciplined morning also activates a deeper level of accountability. It forces you to confront the promises you made to yourself. It makes you face the goals you declared, the dreams you envisioned, the commitments you spoke aloud but may have delayed. There is no hiding in the morning. There is no pretending. You are alone with your truth, your ambition, and your decisions. And it is in this sacred confrontation that growth takes root. Because a person who is not honest with themselves cannot lead themselves. And a person who cannot lead themselves cannot lead anything else. The morning reveals who you really are when no one is watching. And if you can win there, you can win anywhere. As the discipline becomes habitual, you start noticing how your mindset shifts. You no longer identify as someone who struggles to be consistent. You identify as someone who shows up. You no longer see discipline as a burden. You see it as a privilege. You no longer view the morning as an obstacle. You see it as an advantage. Your identity evolves, and this evolution transforms the way you approach every challenge and opportunity. Because when your mind believes you are disciplined, your behavior follows. You become more patient, more resilient, more focused, more driven. You operate from a higher level because you have trained yourself to live at a higher standard. One of the most powerful changes that disciplined mornings bring is the newfound respect you gain for time. You begin to understand that every minute carries purpose. Every hour shapes your future. Every decision influences your direction. Time becomes more precious, more sacred, more intentional. You no longer waste it on trivial things, on unproductive habits, or on meaningless distractions. Your priorities sharpen. Your boundaries strengthen. You make decisions based on alignment, not pressure. You stop rushing and start directing. And as your relationship with time improves, so does the quality of your life. The world benefits from your disciplined mornings, even if it never acknowledges them. You become a better communicator because your thoughts are ordered. You become more compassionate because your spirit is centered. You become more effective because your mind is focused. You become more patient because you began your day in peace. You become more creative because your imagination was awakened before distractions consumed your attention. The people around you may not understand why you are different, but they feel the impact of your discipline through your actions, your presence, and your decisions. Over time, the morning becomes your anchor. No matter what happens throughout the day, unexpected setbacks, difficult conversations, sudden pressures, you remain grounded because you began anchored in intention. You are not easily shaken because you already won the most important battle. The battle to rise, the battle to choose alignment over comfort. And once you win that battle, the rest of the day unfolds differently. You walk with authority. You speak with clarity. You decide with confidence. because discipline has already established your foundation. There is also a quiet reward that comes with disciplined mornings, the reward of self-trust. You begin believing in yourself at a deeper level because you consistently prove that you can rely on your own commitment. This is one of the most powerful forms of confidence a person can have. When you trust yourself, you stop doubting your potential. You stop questioning your decisions. You stop sabotaging your progress. You stop shrinking to fit environments that do not match your growth. Self-trust liberates you from insecurity and empowers you to pursue the opportunities that once intimidated you. Disciplined mornings also sharpen your emotional intelligence. When you rise early and center yourself, you become more aware of your emotional patterns. You notice what triggers you, what motivates you, what distracts you, and what inspires you. You begin to manage your emotions instead of letting them manage you. You respond with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse. You navigate challenges with grace instead of frustration. This emotional mastery becomes one of your greatest strengths because it influences every area of your life, your relationships, your work, your leadership, your vision. The more you practice discipline in the morning, the more you realize that it is not just a routine. It is a lifestyle, a mindset, a philosophy. It becomes the invisible architecture of your success. It becomes the quiet force guiding you toward your purpose. It becomes the lens through which you see yourself and the world. You start to expect more from yourself because you have raised your internal standards. You start to dream bigger because you have built the habits that can support those dreams. You start to feel stronger because discipline has strengthened your spirit. And as the days turn into weeks and the weeks turn into months, you look back and realize how far you've come. Not because of dramatic changes, but because of consistent commitment. You did not need a perfect plan, a perfect moment, or a perfect environment. You needed discipline. You needed the courage to rise. You needed the willingness to begin. And once you did, everything began to shift, silently at first, then visibly, then undeniably. In the end, the message is simple, but life, changing the world, will always reward those who rise before it does. Discipline in the quiet hours is not just a habit. It is a declaration of who you are becoming. Every morning you choose purpose over comfort. You are rewriting your future, reshaping your identity, and reclaiming your power. The true victory is not in what you achieve during the day, but in who you become in the silence before it begins. If you can conquer the morning, you can conquer your life. And if you can win when no one is watching, you will shine when everyone is.